in Dubai, and as the speakers earlier today have mentioned, under the leadership of His Highness the President and the leadership of His Highness the Prime Minister, the Emirates and Dubai have indeed prospered and today offer a model for the whole Muslim world of how different communities can live together. Dubai and the Emirates are a model of diversity and pluralism, where people are free to worship according to their faith, where people are free to dress according to their customs, and where there is justice for people irrespective of whether they are rich or poor. I know of one very famous person who was arrested on a narcotics-related charge, and the person was a foreigner, and I had some of my friends from overseas contact me and ask me whether anything could be done, and I said no, because in Dubai there is no difference between the rich or the poor, or between those who are famous or not so famous. The law is equal for all. And I think I reflect on the sense that have been expressed by earlier speakers who have told you of the importance of justice. I truly believe that for justice to prevail, law must not be applied selectively but universally. And the day that we adopt universal values, the day that we apply universal values equally, we will find that we make great advances towards understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, the 20th century witnessed tremendous strides in science and technology, and through moon landings and space shuttles, we explored the universe. But never before in any century had humanity advanced so rapidly. But the 20th century also saw the rise and fall of many empires, the end of colonialism, and great ideological rivalries. We saw the emergence of two different centers of power, America and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, which overshadowed the European powers which had earlier held sway until the middle of the 20th century. Now, the dawn of the 21st century, unfortunately, witnessed the attack on the World Trade Towers. And as the World Trade Towers fell before an international audience, so too did the sense of optimism and security which had marked the end of the Cold War. I remember that historic day when the Berlin Wall fell, and I remember how excited we as a world community were at the prospect of freedom prevailing, of the end to the the superpower rivalry which could have brought about nuclear devastation. But with the fall of the World Trade Towers, one period in time ended and another period in time began. And now we have entered a new era, an era that is dominated by discussion about the war against terrorism. Following the fall of the Twin Towers, we have witnessed wars in Afghanistan and in Iraq, and we have also witnessed terrorist attacks in Madrid, on the trains in Madrid, in the tube stations of London, and in churches and masjids in Pakistan, as well as in other countries. I feel that for Muslims, September 11th will go down in history as the defining moment of our times. For on that fateful day, when the World Trade Towers were attacked, the world tumbled out of a time when communism was the threat, the fear, the block that was to be contained. For many Muslims, the world tumbled into a different period of time when Islam seemingly replaced communism as the new threat and the new fear in many people's eyes. And so therefore, the World Forum does a great service in bringing us together, in helping us understanding each other through dialogue between people, between cultures, and between civilizations. I feel there's a lot of focus on bringing together people who belong to the Muslim world and the non-Muslim world. But I also feel that an area that is perhaps being neglected is the important debate within the Muslim world about the future of the Muslim world. We face many diverse challenges. Certainly one challenge, as Lord Nazir mentioned, is the challenge that comes from occupation. We know that in Iraq, when the coalition went to war, it did not have the backing of the United Nations. And we know that now there are many people who have fled as refugees. Few know what the future of Iraq will turn out to be. But Iraq is one issue. There are many other issues. There are issues that are historical conflicts, conflicts pertaining to the Middle East. So I believe Lord Nazir does a service in bringing to our attention the historical conflicts. But I worry about new areas. I heard Lord Nazir, I keep quoting him because I admire him a lot. I hear Lord Nazir speak and say that there is no compulsion in religion, that Islam says that there is no compulsion in religion. I agree, Islam says there is no compulsion in religion. I hear it said that Islam says not to attack other people's places of worship, and I agree that Islam says not to attack other people's places of worship. But what troubles me is that within the Muslim world, there are countries in which certain organized groups do not follow these Islamic injunctions. We are all familiar with Al-Qaeda. We are all familiar that Al-Qaeda has an intolerance of other groups. We are all familiar with the Taliban, which again has an intolerance. But part of the problem in Iraq is the intolerance that is now being demonstrated by one group of Muslims against another group of Muslims. We never used to hear, when I was growing up, we never heard terms such as so-and-so is a Sunni or so-and-so is a Shia. We only used to hear that we are Muslims, that we have one Quran, our holy book, that we have one prophet, and that we all believe and submit ourselves before the will of one God. But now it troubles me when I see organized groups within the Muslim world make each other targets, with Shias killing Sunnis or Sunnis killing Shias. And it troubles me when I see, not only in the religious context, but in my own country, Pakistan, when organized groups try to intimidate the public at large. To give you a recent example, the Imam of the Lal Masjid, there is a Lal Masjid in Islamabad, has given a call for all beauticians and barbers to shut down their shops, and for all those who sell DVDs or rent out DVDs on nightly rentals to shut down their shops. And they have been going down and forcibly seizing DVDs and burning them, or forcibly trying to shut down shops. So I believe that Islamic message that there shall be no compulsion in religion is a very important one, and that today the world is witnessing two different debates. One is the debate that is taking place between the Muslim world and the non-Muslim world. And the second is the debate that is taking place within the Muslim world. And perhaps what we need are scholars